Workout with a 335. So happy with this. But again, the whole thing here is I've got to get bigger. I have to gain more muscle up top if I want to keep this moving forward. And I need to do so in a way that's within my recoverable volume. So real happy with that. So this is what I have to do. I've got to keep growing. And then outside of that, I can put all my focus on arms and upper back and things. Stuff I'm considering, since I've added this arm stuff back in, an extra arm exercise for arm and grip on this day, which you guys will see with the hammer curls. I might work good mornings back in. I can literally build my squat off good mornings, and I know people get mad when people say things like that, like you can't do that. I'm like, I've done it with clients. I've done it before with myself. So I might work the good mornings back in. I've noticed even though I can get reps with the red ones, I can't lock them as easily, and I already struggle with the lockout position due to my structure and everything else. So I'm keeping down to the Baloosh for now, and I can hit these for 50 plus reps. But did 4 sets of these, and in between those 4 sets, I did supersets with hammer curls. So, and again, I don't try to do these super slow or strict or anything because I want the grip training. I still get a tremendous bicep pump from it. I get a tremendous forearm pump, but then you can feel it in the hands as far as the grip goes. And because I'm forcing to grip a little bit heavier weight with it, I'm a little loose with the form. Now I say that, but then you watch a lot of bodybuilders curl. All these people who everyone's like, oh, my muscle connection. Those guys swing and cheat like crazy. It's hilarious while talking about being strict. I use a little bit of swinging, but it's also, I'm not going to go slow and all of that nonsense. The data doesn't support that for hypertrophy. But I also want the grip training. So I'm hoping a little bit of bench carryover. But again, triceps as far as the supplemental work, because the pause benching for reps will handle most of the muscle involved. But triceps instead, my triceps give out on me. Got to get them bigger, get them thicker, get their work capacity up, and that's going to be the key. Again, just got to hit singles. I don't really care that much about my squat, and I feel like, 4 reps. Holy crap. Got to get used to it, because I'm going to get that 700, but my grip has to get caught up. So what I'm also going to do, I wanted to do good mornings today, but once I tried to even leave that bar over and start warming up, I'm like, my neck and upper back and everything just felt almost painful from it. For me personally, because I tend to get real strong real fast at good mornings, I need my neck strong. And then I've also got to say, what's that going to do for my shoulder health, my ability to get the bar in position? If I get that area really strong again, I've noticed when I've done that, a lot of times I can put the bar in better places up there. Started training. I wanted to go back to bed this morning. I really felt like I could have used an extra hour of sleep. But I had to get busy, had work to do, got to get everything going, all my coaching stuff. Not always the luxury. I don't always have the luxury of doing that, even though people are like, you make your own hours, you're self-employed. It's like, yeah, but it's a lot I have to get done. It's a lot that has to get done. So in that context, I can't always sleep as late as I want. Have things on the schedule. And I get a lot. See, don't get me wrong. I slept like 9 hours. I could have used 10. And I knew it when I started. I need to get my neck stronger. So we're going to work neck extensions back in. I want to slowly work good mornings back in. I know people are like, your deadlift is elite now, dude. You're pulling well over 600. What's wrong with you? I'm like, because I want to get better. I want a 700 deadlift in my late 40s here, right? I want that 405 bench, and I want to do all of it in the 220. So we've got to get thicker in the right places, got to get leaner. But right now, I know I could. One of the things I've also noticed is I've been having tricep DOMs the last week. Now that I've done the higher rep skull crushers, doing a little bit of volume with those, now that I've worked on back end, definitely getting some tricep DOMs. Not normal for me. 3. So that's what I'm calling it as my weight, just for weigh-in purposes. It means I could easily make the 220 anytime I want. Without doing any sort of real serious water cut. But again, the goal is to get to that 405 bench. But we've got to gain muscle. All of this is to get thicker and still recover from all of it. So we're looking at what's the minimum dose that I need to continue to make progress and not overtrain. All right, guys, but that's really all I have. And we're going to hammer posterior chain. I'm not going to spend much time worried about my quads these days. I'll just hit heavy singles on squats, and eventually, if I want to really care, if I feel like I need it, I can build quads real fast and know how to do it. Welcome to Texas. That's the downside with the garage. You know, this is my first summer training in the garage. And I used to train in this sort of heat some in the past growing up. I used to train in some of this at Iron City when I used to train there a long time ago. But we're getting used to it. We're acclimating to it again. So after the good mornings, what do? Glute hammer bar is easier. Normally, I've always said there's not much disparity between the two. For me, now there is. Now there is. For 10. With this bar, have a great deadlift. Already have a great deadlift. Be more greater. All right, guys, but that's really all. Back when I was on these, but context, keep in mind what I was squatting back when I was doing that. I'm not going to give any numbers. If people go back and watch the old stuff, they'll remember. They'll be like, oh God. Yeah, I mean, I really hate squatting. But I do need my squat well back up into the fives. I mean, I don't have to get it as good as it was at one time to be happy. You know, somewhere up into the 500s, mid fives would be a real good place. So let's work on doing that, but I'm going to do it power squatting. All right, today for deadlifts, I left a lot in reserve. I dealt with some heat exhaustion when I'm training earlier in the morning. I really was messed up that night, like actual medical level symptoms. I'm fully recovered now, but my hands are really, it will build everything up. Again, strategies I've successfully used, because my deadlift isn't really the strongest it's ever been. Like they're forgetting. I've pulled 625 off deficits. But again, we come back over what was like good morning at the time, like 550 good morning. Right? I was squatting 600, doing 550 good mornings. Yeah, of course I was deficit pulling 625. Okay. A few years ago, I'm in another age bracket in a lighter weight class, but I'm also leaner. So I don't think that age bracket or that weight class is going to matter that much. Again, just keep progressing at this stuff, continue moving forward, incorporating strategies I've used in the past, because again, I just hate training the squat. This allows me to use some of these methods, let me train the squat without having to really do the squat. And I've done it before, perfectly viable. I've done it with clients. Some of my strongest squatters, not necessarily the strongest, but in the top tiers, didn't really do much back squatting. A lot of box work, a lot of good mornings. I built some real big squats for some guys who you wouldn't think at their body weight could do them. And I've used it myself. So that's what we're going to do. Keep it moving forward. Keep building the posterior chain. But I've got to hit these different angles. Those box squats and good mornings hit different. So I'm going to have deloads towards into sites that I got heat exhaustion Friday. My whole area lost power last night. Massive thunderstorm. Again, people can check the news. It's serious. We've had a heat wave, right? Our heat index has been insanely high. I lost power last night, and then until like 3 in the morning, had no power, and it was absurdly hot. I was sweating, struggling to stay hydrated, with this heat wave that's come through. And I thought I was okay this morning, but that bench, I got 6 reps. So again, I'm questioning if I really need incline work or if I just need to do more pause benching for overall size, right? Maybe take those sets up a hair. Do, 4 total work sets of them every workout, and they keep focusing on building triceps. And I'm really thinking that's the way I need to go. I've got to get thicker, but I've also got to be recovered. I'm still running into is just fighting that recovery and still getting bigger lately. Right, this training I've been doing the last couple months, we've gotten the strongest on benching and deadlifting that I've been in such a long time. Quite frankly, probably the strongest I've been on them since I've it was in my 20s. Now, I think the heat, all that is a factor right now. I think rotate them a little with those power curls. I do like the power curls a lot. I do like the power curls a lot. But now, will I get some training response from that bench? You bet. Very challenging set of bench. I got a great chest pump from it, even though it was 6 reps. That all lit up. I felt that afterwards, though, like a minute or two later. I felt triceps almost cramping there. So a lot of things going on. And again, the general recovery, I've got to keep, but the name of the game for the benching, I've got to get thicker. I need more pec, I need more tricep. So it's just going to be continuing to push those rep maxes so that I know where I'm at. Continuing to just build. I've got to get bigger. But squat and deadlift day, but we didn't really do any squatting today. Decided again, take it a little bit easy. Again, the heat has gotten to me. Definitely feeling a hair under recovered this week, and I don't want to push the absolute limits. I needed to just moving and train a little earlier if need be. And again, I get it. Some of my easier workouts, I occasionally get people who are like, you just did 500 pounds for 6 on a stiff bar. That's not really easy. That's all relative though, guys. That's all relative. I'm not saying it wasn't challenging. It was still challenging. But that's not going to just beat me into the ground. The same with the supplemental work. You know, at 3 sets of glute ham raises. I apologize if my air conditioning is coming on. I'm leaving it on. A lot of times I try to turn it off when I'm recording because of the ambient noise. Hopefully people can deal with it. It's insanely hot. We're dealing with a ridiculous heat wave. We're under all sorts of heat warnings. I'm not going to turn it off for audio quality, and hopefully people are okay with that. I still got to get all my recording and vlogs done. Got to get work done no matter what. So I'm just going to let it run. And again, it kind of highlights the situation. It is that hot here. Again, I dealt with some heat exhaustion last Friday. So came in and did my 3 recover from this. Again, trying to deal with the heat. And I don't think it would have been so bad if I hadn't had that situation on Wednesday night where we lost power. Got really hot at my place. Again, storm knocked the power out. So again, I've just been dealing with all that, working around the heat. And it goes to show how much our environment impacts our training, because I've already been training very hard right at the bleeding edge of recovery. So stuff like that is stuff that we have to be aware of, that we have to adapt to. And again, it's what you're acclimated to. There was a time in my life when I've tolerated way more heat than this, right? I've done work in the past. It was working entire days in heat hotter than this, but we stayed hydrated. We're also tired. I'm also not trying to train at this level, right? Also much younger. So again, that's been a big factor for me for the past week in my training. So again, I've got to focus on the recovery, still getting it with a little more reps on the glute ham raises, right? Let's just stimulate some muscle growth, because that's kind of what I've pointed out too, you know. As far as me getting a lot of progress lately and then it's slowing down, it's the issue of I have to gain more muscle, right? I have to gain more muscle. What does that mean? I need more hamstring, I need more low back, I need more tricep, more pec, right? I've got to gain muscle. I've got to raise my strength ceiling rather than try to chase neural drive. Again, this is how we play the long game in strength sports and in powerlifting. This is one reason so many guys burn out so young, too many injuries, and these things can be pushing neural drive all the time instead of building the structures to accommodate it. Right? Because you'll always get stronger if you gain muscle. You'll always raise your strength ceiling. It's a safer way to do it. So that's going to be, again, the name of the game. I've got to get more muscle. Okay? Got to get more muscle. That is going to be the key for me to get these lifts up yet again to the next tier. Right? Because I've kind of got to a certain level. They've progressed well. They're floundering a little. But again, it's purely because we have to gain more muscle. You know, people who will try to chime in and give advice, I'm like, unless your advice is going to put more muscle on me, it's not going to work. Okay, no fancy programming is going to fix that. It's what I have to do, and that takes time. It's going to take me a few months to level up again. I've got to get thicker. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say. I have to get bigger. I have to gain muscle, and as I gain a little more muscle, I'll start pushing those back up. So 6 felt nice, and let me get bigger. If I can start PRing on some of this accessory work, then my shoulder health on point, my shoulders don't hurt, everything feels good. I was able to put some muscle in my chest, some muscle in my arms, and that little resurgence gave me that big boost in my bench strength. Now I've kind of hit a little bit of a plateau, and I'm very close to my goal. That goal is 405 this year, but I have 5 months left. I have 5 months left this year. Not a big deal. What do I need to do? Set back and grow. I need to spend another month just stacking on muscle. All right, that means I've got to keep the recovery on point. I need the bench carryover. But I feel like if I can just keep getting my triceps bigger, my shoulder health will be on point, because that's one of the issues. Lifters, we have to be careful of our shoulder health. And one of the reasons I point out the triceps, we have that really long stroke. We have a long distance we have to push the weight. All right. What tends to happen is if we're not careful, our delts take over near the lockout, and I can sit tendons rest. So this is going to be a whole week where I didn't do the power curls. All right. So I may switch back in and go back to hitting the power curls this next workout and see if we can start PRing on those again, get my biceps bigger, get my grip stronger. Again, triceps growing. My bench rep work will be able to get a little stronger on the top end sets. Meaning getting that 3x10, because then my triceps aren't wearing out. I can get the better pump in my chest. Okay, my legs are looking thick there though. Legs are looking thick. I feel like I'm getting a little leaner again, right? I feel like we're getting a little bit leaner. It's a good thing. It's all this heat. It's probably a factor. And hopefully we have a good squat and deadlift day tomorrow, right? And I want to keep pushing the good mornings there. Keep pushing the triceps here. Keep pushing up the rep work. And I'll get that bench up. I mean, again, I just did the 6s today. I'll get that back up higher, and I'm going to get to that 10 reps on it, and when I do, I'm going to bench 405. So I hope it has been informative. Box squat focus, and I'll have my squat back up in the 500s, probably by the end of the year, without really worrying about it. I'm just going to use box work, my quads to the same extent. I can focus on good mornings and things which will help my deadlifts the most, and it will still build my squats up. And by the way, my quads will still grow from all of this. Again, they'll get pretty big. So the thing is, just bring nice, easy 6 reps. I know, and I say that I've had people chime in. They're like, yeah, coach, some of my clients, your definition of easy is very relative. Because that obviously was not a limit set. Came into nice reps, 6 pretty clean reps. Okay, help. But it's enough to get a training response. I'm decently big with a lot of posterior chain, but I'm not so big that 6 reps with 500 pounds on a deadlift doesn't get a training response. I'm going to have to be sitting for quite a few things. I don't want the hamstrings to cramp too bad. I might push these a little harder on Friday. Because those are our criteria. So, back over to that point. Yeah, you absolutely can good morning up a squat. And I've had clients do it who have very elite numbers, shown it on camera. Elite, it's like when you guys saw me hit that 605 camber bar squat a number of years back, granted it was a couple inches high. And I'm not going to claim that it wasn't. My good mornings were in the mid 500s. It was just like, you know what, I'm not going to beat myself up on this. I'm going to get a really good session in. I'm going to gain some muscle, right? And I'm going to come back and hit a really good top set on my work back in. I've been holding it off. Yes, I want my triceps bigger. I know I need the triceps, but I feel like at a certain point, all I'm doing with all the band work is almost just overtraining my triceps. I need to focus on those skull crushers. That's what's really going to bring them up. Get some JM presses in eventually. I've got to get all this volume in. I've got to get my incline stronger. I've got to get stronger on this rep work, right? We've got to get that work capacity up. Yes, I still need more tricep because of, again, what happens with my bar path, but the incline does so much for my bench. Like I've got, just has so much carryover to my flat bench. It really does for me personally. And the tricep work doesn't carry over as well, even though I feel like there's a tricep weakness. The proof is in the pudding. I can get stronger at tricep work, and my bench doesn't always go up, even on the rep work. All this pause work helps. All this pause work helps. Incline helps. So I went ahead today because I managed to get, was that a fly? A fly just went across my screen, went across my lens. And yes, it is still ridiculously hot. So here's what I did for this. I'm like, let me step up. I did. These felt a little weird today. Also, you notice on that left side, people can see it better. I get people who are like, you can lock your elbows. They lock. We can see it on your rows. Till they realize that I'm stretching at the bottom at that angle. It's about what angle you can see my arm at is what determines that. It's all camera angle, guys. But that's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter. My back is my best body part. Back is massive. But here's the name of the game, guys. To keep getting bigger. And that's come up. People will try to say, oh, you don't, you're bigger. It's like, you don't understand. It's not about my body weight. I have to have a bigger upper body. What do I mean? I need pecs. I need triceps. I need them bigger. Okay? That's what's going to get me to that 405 bench. And we get there through work capacity. We get there through hypertrophy work. Okay? Build it back up. It has so much carryover to my bench. It has so much carryover to my bench. And I don't like incline. So the reason I haven't been doing it, of course I'm doing my power curls in between these for supersets. The reason I haven't been doing incline, I don't like it. It's one of those, again, I'm going to sound like a crybaby there. I don't like the exercise. But you know what I also don't like? I don't like having a sub 405 bench. So it's the question of which one do I dislike more. I hate doing it. It's uncomfortable. It's time to just sack up and put the work in. And quit. I don't need all the band work. I need one good tricep exercise. These skull crushers do it. This is the heaviest weight I've been able to handle. I'm now doing it after a little more pressing volume. That's a good place to be in.